Hey, everybody. Before we get into the episode, we have some sad news we need to put here just in case you have missed it. Unfortunately, last week, as we're recording this, Jeremy Greer, our friend and network host, passed away. So in case you're not on social media, we know some people just get the RSS feed, more people listen than interact with us online. This might be your first time hearing it. So we want to let you know.
Yeah. Jeremy, great friends. Hosted Days of Future Cast with Gary, appeared on so many Bonfireside chats, appeared on Radio Free Midworld, all of those. We just wanted to let you know. There's, not many other ways to find out.
Yeah. We've been trying to navigate how to keep recording and stuff in the face of this. We're trying not to turn, the network into a fugue or anything like that. But we did want to acknowledge that, he will be missed. I love him very much. Yeah. It is really hard. The one thing that I will say as part of this, go get your cancer screenings.
Yep.
I know that's something that would have been, important to him.
Yeah.
They don't want you to get that until you're 45, but honestly, it's happening younger and younger.
Yeah.
Jeremy was my age. You got Chadwick Boseman, just very famously.
Yeah.
So please go get that done.
Yeah. He literally reached out to me and asked me to do it. And you can go, there are testing places where you can do a really gross thing, but that momentary discomfort is worth it.
Yeah. I just talked about that recently on a show, and it's it sucked, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would take from this, I guess, in terms of action item stuff, is this is a good reminder to everyone to make sure there's nothing unsaid.
Yeah.
So if there are people in your life who you love, who you care about, let them know.
Yep.
It's important because you don't know, this happened really quickly. You do not know when that chance will go away. So, do that. Weird thing we're going to talk about a real ripping soundtrack and doing sick moves here in a minute. It's pretty weird.
Yep.
You have to wake up. You still have to, the life goes on.
Yeah.
But the best you can do is, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and make sure nothing's unsaid.
Yep.
And join us. We're all lucky to have had him in our lives.
Yeah.
So join us in that at least.
Yep.
So on with the show. My name is...
What you thought? We was done? What you thought? Yeah. What you thought? Back again. What's that?
My name is Gary Butterfield, he, him.
My name is Kay Ross, she, her.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which is a skateboarding game developed by Neversoft and published by Activision for the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube in 2001.
Yeah. You may be thinking, haven't you already done this? We haven't. We covered Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 way back in episode 46.
Yes.
That's in 2013. Kind of hard... right in the middle of the Obama administration.
Yep.
Kind of crazy to fucking think about. More than 10 years ago. So it was time to revisit. We also, back in the day, we got very self-conscious about short episodes. we thought, there are games of all lengths, but there shouldn't be episodes of all lengths.
Nope.
So we did it with Mario Golf.
Just because we figured that was the gamut, that was the entirety of sports games.
Yes, we had small minds in terms of thinking what we might ever cover on sports.
Right.
And it turns out there's at least 2 other sports games we'll do. It was foolish of us to do that.
Yeah.
But you never step in the same river twice. Either the river changes or you do. So we are going to do and revisit this series that's very special.
Yes.
It's going to be kind of a loose episode and a shorter episode because it is a short game here. So going in detail, like talking about individual lines would be dumb. We're not going to do that. We're going to kind of zoom out, but it is still exciting to talk about because I think you could make an argument this game 2 or 4 the best in the series. Depending on what day I am more receptive or less receptive to those arguments.
Yeah.
Each one individually.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying like either this one, 2, or 4 are the ones
Yeah, kind of depending on which day. Yeah. There are mechanical things I miss from 4. I think these maps are my favorite in terms of a set of maps.
They're really good, and there's really good variety to them too.
Like good variety, good flavor, a lot of little Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
And again, it's been more than 10 years, so we're going to recover some stuff. How did you get into Tony Hawk K?
Yeah, I forget if it was on the Jam Pack demo disc. I definitely did have that and played the warehouse stage over and over and over again. But I also have a distinct memory of playing it on a demo kiosk at a Kmart back in my hometown. I would have been like 12 or 13, so like prime, skateboarding is cool kind of years, right?
If you had gone and played at a demo kiosk at the S Mart, the A Mart, the T Mart and the E Mart, you would have got a lot of points.
I know, yeah. Would have accomplished the goals. I would have unlocked the Z Mart. I don't know.
Yeah, you would have unlocked a VHS tape of Bam Margera hitting himself in the balls.
Yeah, and like immediately I was like, oh, this is great. Like I can go anywhere I want in this level. Everything is super fast. I played that warehouse stage over and over again until the point where it became one of those holy spaces we like to talk about.
Yeah.
And like when I got my Dreamcast, that came with Tony Hawk 2. And I was like, yeah, this rules.
It's hard to describe like how fucking cool this was when it came out as a thing. It's a new genre in multiple ways.
Yeah.
This was it's a rare case of something I know that I got into because of reviews.
Okay.
Tony Hawk 1 got really good reviews. I was not interested in sports or skating. As a kid, I was interested in skating. I watched the cube get gleamed, and I liked Skate or Die, which are terrible fucking video games, but I liked those as a kid. There's something about it that seemed neat to me. So I remember getting this, and then it became a thing with my friends. Weirdly enough, it wasn't my number one, because we'd had this with Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. It was an early me and my friends fucking around game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a good social game for something without multiplayer. It is a perfect pass the controller game.
And then like later ones added multiplayer. I forget, was there multiplayer in 1?
I can't remember. I know 2 has the Create a Park feature, but I don't recall actually because we never actually played it multiplayer.
Okay.
We just passed the controller. We did runs. And tried to beat high scores and just tried to do shit in them. And then I was a series loyalist for almost the whole series. As it exists. Like I probably got up until Project 8. I think I was, day and date up through like American Skateland.
Wow.
Or something like that, before that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that. Followed it as it, degraded and got weirder and in a lot of ways worse. But I just remember when this came out specifically, this was the first next generation Tony Hawk, the PS2. First PS2 one. And it is a huge jump, which we're going to talk about.
Also, I lied. Tony Hawk 2 didn't come with the Dreamcast. That was the next year. But I got Tony Hawk 2 on the Dreamcast, and it looked great and moved really quickly.
Yeah. So let's talk about the basics in case you do not know what Tony Hawk games are like.
Yeah.
You're a skater. You either can choose your favorite skater or make a custom-made skater, and you're dropped into an open level, and you're given 2 minutes and a list of goals.
Yes.
2 minutes is the perfect fucking time.
It is so good. Yeah.
It is engineered like 30 seconds more or 30 seconds less would fucking suck. 2 minutes is correct.
2 minutes is correct. And also, like, man, every little thing about this is such a good decision that like puts a really great bounding on like how big or complex the stages can or should be too.
Yes.
Like, you know, you can do a bunch of shit in these levels within 2 minutes, and that is because they are dense with incident.
Yeah. You're also meant to go through them multiple times.
Yes.
You know, so the fact that they're so dense, 2 minutes, you don't have to worry about seeing everything or doing everything.
You get a bunch of goals, and then you unlock levels by, by satisfying those goals, enough of them to reach the next one. Yeah.
Yep. So you can accomplish those goals if you want to pursue those goals. You can kind of look around, you can skate and explore, and you can try to get high scores.
Yes.
There are goals for that as well, but it's in free skate, or if you're just playing for fun, that tends to be your goal.
Yes.
You do this by performing tricks and chaining them together into combos. An individual trick will score you points based on how long you hold it, how many degrees you spin, modifiers like that. If you are doing it goofy foot, so if you're right-handed, going left-handed, etc. Combos, doing more tricks will multiply your score.
Yeah.
And performing tricks across gaps will give you bonuses. All of this stuff adds up to basically an equation.
Yeah.
For kids today, think Ballotro. You have your base and your mult. Tricks get the tricks and the way you do them give you your base, and the number of tricks gives you your mult.
Yes. And you can watch it build as you're doing this. You don't want to, because you want to be looking ahead and planning your next, kind of score. But like seeing the bottom third of the screen fill up with each individual trick that you did and watching the score go up is such a good feeling. And that gets to so much of this game is just about the feeling and the ways that individual decisions, feed into it. Right.
Yes. That watching scores go up thing is a weird secret component to the multiplayer experience of this. Like Tony Hawk is fun to watch.
Yes.
And one of the things, you are not looking at the score unless you're, a savant and you can multitask that well. But when we were playing it, it was real fun to watch climb, especially if you had stakes. And by stakes, I mean, you had the score to beat.
Yes. Yeah. So you're watching it go up, and you're hoping that the person doesn't bail. Like if you crash, like land in the middle of doing a trick or land sideways, with the wheels not going that direction. That's not how them work. Yeah. Or if you just kind of land and skate without doing anything, that will that will end the combo. So landing it and going on to the next thing commits the points. Bailing loses everything.
Yeah, which is where the risk reward of this, comes in. You are holding the trick as long as you can, which gets more difficult.
Yes.
As you are doing balance-based tricks, as you're grinding or manualing, this gets harder to do. So every single individual line of tricks you're doing is a small instance of a high-stakes risk-reward score challenge. As you do this, you get a special meter. This builds up. When it's full, you can perform special tricks, which give you really high base points, and you go faster.
Yes.
Speed is really important. You get more air, and you have momentum. One of the things that can happen in this that can kill your combo is just losing momentum.
Yeah.
It's very funny when you just kind of roll to a stop and you're just jumping and doing manuals because, like, shit, I have no idea how to move forward now.
I need to juice this. Yeah.
Yes. Can I get a couple more points out of this? Yes.
Tricks do lose value the more you perform them. So there's incentive to vary things up, and you have plenty of moves at your disposal, all 8 directions, on the D-pad. When you press it, will do different ones. And different skaters have different loadouts of moves in addition to, different stats.
Yes. This is kind of an RPG as well. When you're playing it single player, you are trying to build up your stats. There is kind of like, we'll talk about this a little bit later. There is kind of, well, we can kind of do it now. Yeah. Tony Hawk is kind of a game about playing Tony Hawk in that the real game starts once you have that stuff maxed out.
Yes.
This is in the list of games similar to like a Call of Duty where like the game is teaching you to play the real game.
Yes.
You are going through this, unlocking all of these goals. When you actually play the game, that flavor of play doesn't really resemble what you're doing. It's just teaching you.
Yes. Yeah. And the goals are designed in such a way as to, get you to try different lines and different approaches, or like figure out how to get up to those individual places too.
Yeah. They're really cannily designed. They're teaching you how to find, rare lines and to recognize them in the geometry. It's a game that the primary mission of it is to teach you how to read these spaces. And sight, not only memorize them, but also sight read them.
Yeah.
Understand what the visual iconography is for a line of grinds.
This does induce a kind of Tetris effect too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've only ever managed to pull off an ollie twice in my life on an actual skateboard, but still, if I play enough of this when I'm just out, I will start imagining a little skater oh yeah, I could totally gap that. Oh, this is a line, something there. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful way to lose your mind.
It's in the pantheon of ways to change spaces, the way that Hitman is.
Yeah.
I'll go to somewhere and think, oh, this would be a great Hitman level. Not because I need to be on a watch list, but just oh, this would be pretty cool. Or you can, and other video game levels transfer in. I would like the UNATCO level of Tony Hawk. I want everything. Every video game level I'd like to Tony Hawk through, and every video game level I would like to Hitman through.
Yes.
And I would basically be happy if you just port all video games into those two engines. Whoever, if they could just do that for me, that'd be fucking sick, and I'd be fine. I'd stop playing other video games. I don't know that I need anything more than that.
Since I don't really have a point in here to talk about the different characters, because the characters that you can play as the skaters, they're real people, skaters whose I only know their name or who they are and have an opinion about them because of these games. What do I care about a Rune Glifberg, right?
Yeah, it's a cool name.
Yeah. But so when you have,
it's a suspicious name.
It is a very suspicious name, actually.
Is it?
I think Glifberg.
Yeah, it has glyph and rune.
Yeah.
In his name. What is this fucking Eldritch monstrosity? I'm Spell Champman. Yeah. Kojima-ass bullshit.
Yeah. When you have an option to do custom skater, do you do that, or do you pick one of the pre-mades, one of the real humans?
I always make a little Gary.
Yeah.
Without fail. I don't really, we talk about this in other games. I don't care about character creators.
Yep.
Generally, and I understand that's unusual. I'm not saying that as a virtue. It just, people get really into that. I usually make something that looks vaguely like me and then stop.
Yeah.
Because I just want to get to playing the game. For some reason, I'll take this pretty seriously. And part of it is because I'm going to spend a lot of time with this thing. And other part of it is it's kind of fun to see. It's not fun to see the little Gary do cyberpunk things, because that's just video games. It's kind of fun to watch the little tiny Gary do a 900.
The improbability of it, yes.
Yeah, not literally impossible, but basically as close to impossible as something can get while being possible.
Yes.
Yeah. Including doing it impossible.
Yeah. No, I just I will either do a custom creator or a custom skater, or one of the things that kind of turned me off of this back in the day is that this was the first of them without Bob Burnquist.
Yeah. There's a reason for that. We'll talk about that during development. And a lot of times also when I'd play as Tony.
Yeah.
Because also imagine being a charming character in a video game.
Oh yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is a game you're playing it to learn how to play it, and you get this kind of just joy of pure flawless motion, right?
Yes.
It's a real vibe flow state kind of game.
When it's going, it's going. You are not thinking about it. This comes down to, when you get into the meta game of this and people who try to get really high scores, they call them robot lines. Is the terminology, because you kind of turn off your brain and become an algorithm that is doing a loop.
Yeah.
And you can keep these going on for hundreds of millions of points. And it's just, you turn off your brain and go into this flawless motion. The timer disappears. Everything disappears.
Yes.
It is really cool.
Very frustrating is when you have memory of being able to do that, but you've put down the game, say, since 2013, and you haven't played a Tony Hawk since then, and you have achieved it before, but you're sitting down, you're completely out of practice and just eating shit left and right.
Yeah. It takes some time to relearn.
It does. Yeah. It's a real Sea Lakes kind of thing.
It's also a thing where the skill levels in this are really interestingly tiered in a way that I feel kind of maps onto Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
Yeah.
Where like you can be a rank amateur at it, you can be kind of good at it, but then once you think you're good at it, there's several next levels of good at it.
Right.
Above that. Like within my friend group, I was pretty good at Tony Hawk.
Right.
And then, when I took it more seriously, I came back to it later. I was a little bit better at it. And then I look and I see people who are way better and then people who are like savant level.
Right.
You can just kind of keep going with this stuff.
Yeah.
There's always room to improve, and the process of doing it is fun.
Yes. We talked about the multiplayer. There were fun like special modes. I can't remember if this is Tony Hawk 1 or Tony Hawk 2 that had these or started doing these, but like playing horse is really fun in this. It's like, okay, a person will do a trick and you have to do a trick off the same stuff and then beat their score with that. And the area control is really good as well. Trying to hold on to turf by doing tricks with
doing
that.
the best trick on it. Real clever. In addition to just like I get 2 minutes now, you get 2 minutes.
Yeah,
passing back and forth through that. You can also make your own skate parks. This is really fun. This is where we talked about this way back in 2013. Me and my friends made Tony Hawk's Pro Jousting, which was a joust. So I guess they did have the multiplayer in that because you would play against each other. You would grind on opposite sides of the same rail and see who unhorsed the other one through this.
It's whoever's going faster wins, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a skill to it, but it was mostly just fun. They also, in the second one, very hilariously, punji pits.
Yep.
The thing that killed a lot of our boys in Vietnam. A regular skate park feature.
Yep.
Just covered with Tony Hawk's feces to make sure that even if you live, you won't want to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was a little strange for them to put in there, but it was how I learned.
Dark thing for the Birdman.
It was how I learned about punji pits, I guess.
Yeah, you got to learn about it at some point. Here's a question that I don't know where it would fit. We probably could have been in the last section, but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
For me, I don't have a good answer for this for me, but and it might not be a question that applies to you, but I wanted to pose it regardless. I wonder what it is about games that teach you how to play them better, and games that are just based on performance and score tend to be things I don't care about. Like, I like arcade games, but when I play an arcade game, I'm usually not paying attention to the score. I'm just trying to make progress.
Yeah. What
is it about Tony Hawk that turns me into one, like a score-based gamer, but then also kind of like a skill-based one? This is shit I very definitively don't care about. In most games, like it is the Neo Dark Souls difference, right? Like one is purely an execution thing, and the other one is a gestalt of other factors. Like it's not just a combat flow; it's levels and story and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I don't care about it if it's just shooting. I do care about this, and this is just skating, basically.
It's just skating. Like there's like a surface level detail about this, which is like, all right. If it's like a Neo or something like that, basically if it's like a score-based version of something that I do all the time in other video games, it's kind of hard to like care about it. Like the score doesn't heighten it. And your comparison between Tony Hawk and Guitar Hero does make a lot of sense, because that is another game where I don't necessarily care about the score, but the score is an expression of something that I am there for, which is to play as accurate of a version of the song as I can, like as well as I can. Yes. And kind of in both of those cases, it is me learning to master this, this kind of thing that I can't really do a lot in other games. Right.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it. And then the other part of it, I think for me is this just feels more fun. And that's a super subjective thing, but mastering this feels more fun to me than mastering combat or another like high execution based, thing in your hand. And it's so clean looking. It's very, very rare that when I fail in this, I don't know why. That's kind of a game criticism cliche, brought to you by Dark Souls, but it's true in this. If I'm playing like a Bayonetta or playing a character action game, I'm not trying to pick on that genre.
No,
choose any kind of high execution based game, a lot of times there's a lot of visual noise and stuff. This is so simple. It's really clean. What you're seeing, there's nothing occluding your view, literally and kind of like, metaphorically in terms of the play.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about it that makes it work, but it turns me into a different type of gamer, which is like a cool thing for a video game to do, right? Like I'm a different type of guy when I'm playing Tony Hawk.
You wouldn't like me.
You wouldn't like me if I was playing Tony Hawk. Don't come in the room. When that light's on, you don't fucking come in, Liv.
When my hair's down, you call me T-Boy, which is short for Tony Hawk Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Toad Hawk. It's just T-Boy.
Toad Hawk.
I'm Tony Hawk. That's his little serpent.
Yep.
There's a little tiny skater that goes around with him called Tony Hawk.
Come on, yeah.
I can do a 90.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the title of the episode is Tony Hawk 3. That is the one that we played kind of in the run up to this. Let's talk about like the specific things, beyond it just being the first of the next gen ones and all of the stuff that comes along with that, not just graphical fidelity, but like the size of the stage and the smoothness of the motion and all that, right?
Yes. Tony Hawk is, to me, one of the better games that just incrementally improved.
Yeah.
Each entry was almost a level pack, but they do add things that are important. The big addition in Tony Hawk 3, which I think is really additive, is reverts.
Yes.
In Tony Hawk 2, they had the manual. The manual is balancing on two wheels. It allows you to chain kind of street tricks together, but once you hit a ramp, that was it for you.
Right.
Now you can do a revert.
Yes, which is if you are doing like half pipe or quarter pipe, kind of stuff, like come down from doing an aerial trick, you press the right trigger when you land, and you will do like a little reversey, and you can segue that into a manual, going up on two wheels to keep the combo going. Previously, like, aerial tricks, ones that you did in a half pipe or whatever, like those were high value in and of themselves, and you could combo them while you were in the air, but it really had like a limited ceiling for how high you could go, just because you couldn't combo them together like street tricks. This gives you the ability to do that.
They were kind of beginners or finishers before, because you can turn them into grinds, right? Previous to this, or manuals, but you couldn't kind of do both. Now you can. This is huge.
Yeah.
Every time, one of the things I love about the early Tony Hawks is every time they make an addition, it's game changing. This seems really minor, but it's not. Being able to, there's a bunch of different ways to think about it. One of the things about reverts is they're a resource, which I didn't really realize. You only really get so many of them because they cut your speed a lot.
Yes.
Like I was looking up tips on how to get like insane scores in this, just because I was doing research and it sounded fun to try to every once in a while I get tempted by a game where I'm like, I could probably get really good at this.
Yeah.
If I wanted to. And you have to think of reverts as a resource. Like you basically get 4. So you have to know when to use them.
Yes.
And it adds this weird strategy layer that you wouldn't expect there to be in this.
Yeah. As your speed decays. Yeah. And, because everything ties back to speed too, the slower you're going, you're not going to go much higher in the air the next time you hit a ramp, right? So you're going to have fewer opportunities, going to get less clearance if you're going to a different, to a different place. You can regain speed, by reverting and then going into a grind or going downhill, stuff like that. But not enough to make a huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are hidden combos. So these kind of intricate variations you can do of tricks. They're neat. You have your normal tricks, which are just a direction and a button. But if you double tap, for example, you do a double kickflip, things like that.
This fucks me up because I did most of my Tony Hawk playing in Tony Hawk 2. I would tend to do a little bit of button mashing and stuff on here, just like, okay, press it until the trick is done, right? And with this, I had to break myself of that little habit in my muscle memory because it would just keep me going.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I wasn't doing a trick at that point. Stop it.
You have to figure out where to, because you cannot be, it's obvious, but you cannot be doing a trick when you land.
Yeah.
So even within the air, there's a little risk reward. thing. Like risk reward is the key word to this.
Yes.
Can I squeeze in one little thing?
Yeah. The stage goals get more involved in this one than they have been previously. Sometimes you have to like do stuff in sequence. Like you have an inventory, which I completely forgot about. Like, you pick up an axe from a construction site and give it to somebody who's going to break into a house, right?
Yes.
And a bunch of these will open up, changes in the level, creating these new opportunities for gaps and lines.
Yeah. Adding to this being a strangely good exploration game.
Yes.
It's also the beginning of a slope that the series went on. As we mentioned, we played Tony Hawk 3 for this, but kind of talking about the series because they do have a lot of things in common. The arc of Tony Hawk games has been more narrative, non-skating content as you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, like we probably only have so many Tony Hawk games we can do. Even though you never step in the same river twice, like wait 10 years, we can do anything again.
Right.
But like, it would be interesting to do Project Skateland or one of the Tony Hawk's Underground games because they're really pretty different.
Yeah.
Like they have a storyline. You do on-foot stealth sections and play tennis and drive cars and shopping carts and shit.
Right.
They're very different, and by different I do mean worse. In this case, that shit sucks. It kind of begins here. Like going on a little quest to get an axe, even though that's not really odious, it does foretell something dark.
It does.
Into the series a little bit.
Like you see the components of the unmaking start, taking shape.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fine here, like there are some of the goals that end up being a little bit inscrutable because of this, like I had a hard time figuring them out back in the day. Thank the Lord for game facts or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to these kind of level, these specific goals, there are broad categories of goals. So collecting a certain number of items, doing specific tricks in specific places, or getting high scores.
Yeah.
And then finding the secret tape.
Yeah.
Which is always a kind of a serious standby. And that isn't always in a hard to reach place. That is kind of a platforming puzzle.
Yeah. Something that is great for Tony Hawk 3 is that depending on the kind of skater you are playing, the goals will change. Which is good. Like you will not be running at something that would be difficult / impossible with the stats that you have, which is nice. Yeah.
Even though eventually your goal is to make all skaters like well-rounded.
Yeah.
All skaters must become gods at everything.
Yes.
But early on, your stat spread will determine whether you're more of a vert skater or a street skater. Meaning, are you better at balance and speed, or are you better at getting air and spin?
Improving your skater in this, like there is a career mode. It is different than previously. Previously, like by completing goals, you earned money that you could use to buy either skill points or gear. Now, skill ups are a collectible. You will find them in the stages.
Yes. And you find gear in the stages as well.
Yes.
This is where you're going to find new boards and shit like that. This does give you a little task when you're playing it. You want to find these points. It's not a stated goal, but you need to do it for each level.
Yeah.
There are a lot of unlocks in this game, little secrets, some of which are done through like literal secrets, like codes. If you put in your name as certain things, you can play as the developers, for example. Other ones are unlocking secret skaters, and the requirements are big. This is a short game.
Yeah.
2-minute runs, just doing all the goals. If you know what you're doing, that's like an hour or two. They wanted you to have reason to play this over and over. So like getting every goal with every skater unlocks things, shit like that.
Yeah. Which is weird because of the aforementioned every skater ultimately becomes very good at everything. Because like the beginning you'll be playing it differently. And then by the end, you're just going to be back to your usual shit.
Yep, exactly. And it's kind of counterbalanced by the fact that you can do it quickly, but it's counting on you having a large appetite for Tony Hawk, which is like lucky that it's super good. Like this is something I didn't do this time, but I definitely did.
Oh yeah.
When I first got this, like I unlocked everything. I 100% of this game.
Oh yeah. And you want to do that not just because you get like skaters, like you can skate as Darth Maul or Wolverine if you want. Everybody can be problematic with Ollie the Magic Bum if you
Ollie
want
the Magic
to.
Bum, kind of a series mascot. Early 2000s, we were not super sensitive about the unhoused. In the last game, you ollied over Ollie the Magic Bum. Now you can play as him.
Yeah. But also, like, you can unlock stages from Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Like in this one, like secret levels. You can just skate the warehouse again, updated visually. You can do Burnside from Tony Hawk 2. It rules.
Super rules.
Yeah.
Which is the Portland level, which I wish there was one that looked like downtown or something. So I can see that. It's based on a skate park. So that does exist in Portland. I can go visit it, but it's not, they added blood in this one. They wanted to show, again, kind of a weird portent of the jackassening of the series. Skating is a sport where you hurt yourself, and they wanted people to understand that. Previously it was nothing. It wasn't like it was sweat, like Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
But now blood comes out of you when you bail.
Yeah. And something that does make a difference is pedestrians. It's a bigger deal in different levels, but sometimes you can just plow into a dude. Yes.
They are something to avoid. They also get rolled into the goals sometimes.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about on individual levels. The soundtrack to these games is a really big, important part. Always has been. Early games for licensed soundtracks.
Yeah.
Or for a licensed soundtrack, I want to say. It might be my first exposure to it.
Yeah, probably. Outside of
GTA 3 technically has a licensed soundtrack, but just the Scarface soundtrack.
Right.
It's not stuff you've heard of. This is a variety of songs from the culture.
Yeah, where like Tony Hawk soundtracks kind of like were a mixtape almost, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And exposed myself and a lot of people to a lot of different kinds of music.
Yeah, a lot of music that I like. A great deal of it I wouldn't listen to in any other context, but in the context of a Tony Hawk game.
It really similar to Crazy Taxi in that way.
Yeah.
It also has a good amount of hip hop on it, which is not something I understood about the culture, and something I was not exposed to a lot as a kid in rural Illinois. So it was my exposure to a lot of like cool hip hop shit. This was probably the first place not this soundtrack, but Tony Hawk 1 or 2, I can't remember which one. It's probably the first time I heard NWA, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Public Enemy, right? Like big deal, huge bands.
Yeah. And just turn it up and bring the noise, yeah,
exactly.
This is where I first heard Del the Funky Homo Sapien, probably even before he was on that Gorillaz track, right?
Yeah. That is, to me, that's the best song on the soundtrack.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to have a good run if You Must comes up. I enjoy that one. There are songs on this I find pretty obnoxious.
Yeah.
Here, you do have to listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers Fight Like a Brave.
You don't. You can turn them off if you want.
Yeah, you can turn off individual ones, which is great. Yeah. From the Uplift Mofo Party Plan.
God damn it.
I know. It's every time it comes up, I'm just fucking depressed. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, but so like either that or I don't like that Alien Ant Farm song on here very much.
I don't like any Alien Ant Farm songs very much.
No.
Call me crazy. Generally, I like the hip hop on this a lot more than I like the rock and punk.
Yeah.
On this specific one, we're far from Goldfinger. We don't have a Superman on this.
Yeah.
In terms of the rock songs, the one that I think is probably my favorite one is Not the Same. I think that's kind of good.
Yeah.
And there's like stuff that is, came with the universe shit. Like, I don't actually like Ace of Spades. I'm not going to listen to Ace of Spades. It's a ludicrous song. It's kind of fun to skate to.
Yeah. But also, like, it's hard to say, like, oh, this is what makes something a Goldfinger Superman, right? Because Ace of Spades, that doesn't belong to Tony Hawk 3 the way that Superman belongs to Tony Hawk 1.
That is true.
Yeah.
Ace of Spades, can you imagine like being in the studio when they record that and it's just like you're singing how you're gonna do it like that, huh?
Yeah.
Like he sings like one of the brothers grunt.
He does
the entire time. Like he's just squeezing it out of his throat. It's very funny. I cannot take that song seriously. I know that it's serious. I also in terms of songs I'm just fucking sick of, like I like Blitzkrieg Bop just fine.
Oh, I never need to hear it again. Yeah.
I never need to hear that again. Whereas like this, Exhibit song, I'm not a huge Exhibit guy, but like, I don't know. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
The
red
one.
The KRS-One track is really good. Hush. Oh my gosh, what is it? I'm trying to look on here what it is. Like there are a couple, like the Mad Capsule Markers, that Pulse one is really good. Like any of the ones that are like kind of like really heavily sample based or like turntable kind of stuff. Yeah.
They sound really good for it. They match really well. This, in terms of, the Grand Tony Hawk soundtrack ranking, like, is not the highest.
No.
Or anything like that. It's still good though. There's still good songs on it.
Yeah. I wish that there was more stuff in the line with, like, I don't know, 1 and 2 had more songs that were from like the, just let's call them Bad Religion alikes.
Yes. Yeah.
that like of the kind of music that is more my speed, it is that kind of punk in these, but the heavy emphasis on hip hop on this is welcome.
I really like that. There's not as much sneer punk either. And nary a ska. So like you don't end up having a Goldfinger.
The last wave of ska had collapsed.
Yeah,
the galaxy was at peace.
Yes, somehow ska had died. Talking about the development of this game, so Activision approached Neversoft to create a skateboarding game because they were trying to ride this increasing popularity of skateboarding and extreme sports.
Yes.
AKA the good sports.
Yep, the performance sports, let's say.
Yes.
Prior to this, Neversoft was kind of nobody. They had shipped the Skeleton Warriors game, Abject Suffering alum, and the Bruce Willis game Apocalypse, which I think we also talked about on Abject Suffering.
we definitely have. Just on Abject Suffering likes. The publisher envisioned a skateboard racing game, specifically, but Neversoft said, "Hey, that's not really what skating is."
Yeah.
Also, we did that shit in Skate or Die.
Yeah.
It sucked. And they sold them on open levels, basically creating this genre.
Yeah, it's like they put together their prototype saying we have this engine, look what we can do, and they're like, yes, let's do it. I think that like there were previous like open world skating games or open level ones. I think there was like Thrasher, Skate or Destroy prior to this.
Like I played a bunch of those. The answer is kind of. 720 Degrees is the original one. Like somebody out there, some 720 Degrees head is shouting.
Yeah.
That's like an old Atari game in the arcade, and it is an open world, but it's not the same. Not open world, but I mean, you go around skating for tricks.
Yeah.
But like swarms of bees and shit are chasing you. It's like a Paperboy like more than anything.
Yeah. I was thinking like I need to see because like the North American one, the North American release for Thrasher Skate or Destroy was also 1999, so it was concurrent development. Basically, a bunch of like a handful of other skate games that I'm only familiar with because of demos that didn't catch me the way the Tony Hawk one did.
Yeah. This was the one that won. Even though multiple games were doing this, and it's the one that won even within like spin-offs and stuff. Like in the context of the series, this created this boom of Richard Kelly's pro skater. It's not Richard Kelly, that's the Donnie Darko guy, but Sean Kelly or whatever, pro surfer. And you can end up the Pro BMX.
Yeah, the Matt Hoffman one. Yeah.
Which doesn't work because you can't ride a bike backwards.
No, you can't.
Like, there's a reason why none of those things worked. And even the other skateboard ones, the real successor to these, the only thing that picked it up and went with it was SSX.
Yeah.
I would say, which kind of captured, SSX Tricky specifically captured this vibe.
And then like EA's Skate, but that was like more like technical.
Yeah,
almost.
Different vibe.
Like. Yeah, way different vibe. The other game I was thinking of that predated this on PlayStation was Street Skater.
Yeah. Which it's kind of the same, but it's worse.
Not as good. Yeah. So really happy Neversoft pitched them and changed their mind because just having another what's the I always call it the Pennywise skateboarding game, Top Skate. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So Tony Hawk was not like attached to this. Like it was just unlabeled skateboarding game number 4. Prior to his involvement, he got on kind of like midway through, but he was a really enthusiastic contributor. Like really wanted to make sure that it represented a version of the feeling of skating. Right. He
was involved in the series for a long time as well.
Yes.
Like personally involved, which I think is cool. Plays the game, thinks it's fun.
Yeah. His name is on it. He cares about what it's like.
Yeah. Certified fucking good dude. I will feel very bad if Tony Hawk gets canceled.
Yeah, that would suck. That'd be
like if
really
we have
bad.
to start controversy acknowledging Tony Hawk. Like he seems like a real good one.
Yeah. It's also weird to think because, like, I don't know about you, but that summer when Tony Hawk pulled off the 900 in the X Games, like, I was not paying attention to skateboarding outside of, again, just a general, like, oh, that's what cool kids do kind of culture kind of stuff. But, like, everybody was fucking talking about him pulling that shit off. Like, it was all over MTV. And, like, it's weird to think that if he didn't do that, does Tony Hawk's Pro Skater get as much attention and kind of take off, you know, beyond just the merits of its quality? See also the Jam Pack demo, which, like, is one of the best demos of all time because it gave you just this perfectly designed 1-1 stage to, you know, go at over and over again.
It definitely gave it a little boost.
Yeah.
You know, skateboarding was making its way into more of a zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And him pulling that off, which is, you know, and for people who don't know, going 900 degrees, spinning that much kind of thing. That's Tony Hawk's signature trick.
Yeah.
I love in these games, as you get your stats really high, you can start effortlessly doing that.
Yep.
As a non-trick and then even superseding it.
You can do 900 versions of other tricks.
Yeah. Or, you know, just start pulling off 1080s without, you know, doing a trick. Just spinning.
Yeah. The first game sold really well. Neversoft actually scaled up as a company in order to make this a yearly franchise for quite a while. And there are not very many development details for 3 in particular. Like we mentioned that Bob Burnquist, the, you know, Brazilian skater, who I like to play as, like he ended up being licensed to like an MTV skateboarding game that just ended up. Yeah. So
he couldn't be on this. He comes back in the next one.
Yeah.
Burnquist Hounds. The series would change a bit after 3. 4 is different. 4 shifts towards open-ended levels and goal structures. So you walk around the level and you talk to somebody and they give you the goal.
Yes.
There's more story, but it's before it is a rags to riches or I'm hanging out with the guys from Jackass story, which the Underground games became. It's really interesting. We're going to talk about this. The remaster comes out the day after this episode drops, the remaster 3 and 4. They've changed 4. Like,
they did.
4 is just going to be 2-minute rip 'em ups. They kind of got rid of that.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what that's like. Like, I would have been fine just if they just re-released 4. You know, I want new Tony Hawk games, so I'll always buy these. But it's an interesting choice. I want to see what kind of adaptations they had to make.
Yeah. So like I never played 4 is the thing. Like it came out at this time, like, you know, when I wasn't playing a bunch of video games. Like it was this weird fallow period for me. So like I think that I had played 3 and then 4 came and I was just doing other shit.
Yeah. 4 is good. 4 adds the spine transfer, which is really good, allowing you to go from allowing you to
literally
undo the substance, allowing you to go from one ramp to another on the other side.
Yeah.
And then the thing I missed the most going back to this one is the wall slap.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. If you just go at a 90 degree at a wall in later Tony Hawk games, you can jump at the wall, hit it, and then bounce back into your grind. You cannot do it in this game, and I keep forgetting.
Yeah, you can do a wall ride, but not the slap. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this was the first of the games to be developed for the PS2 generation. The ones for older consoles were backports and are kind of different games as a result.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I went down a big YouTube hole researching this because playing the game, you know, didn't actually take up that much time. And there are tons of Tony Hawk experts online. Quick shout out to Andy THPS. Who worked on one of the Underground games, like joined Activision at some point, but does tutorial videos and does stuff like showing off, you know, those weird ports, showing off the level differences, and then also unreleased levels from like demo builds.
Oh, wow.
And shit, interesting stuff like that. So, and I don't know if that guy sucks.
Yeah.
Controversy question mark. But those videos are fun to watch. And seeing those backports, they did a lot of things that are pretty different. With the versions of 3 and 4 in the PS1 engine.
Yeah. Changing around level orders. Obviously, levels had to change. Like, you couldn't do the Canada level fully on the PlayStation or N64. The port to the N64 of 3 was the last N64 game to be put out, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, in 2002. Good Lord.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. 3 came out in late 2001, so of course it was affected by the September 11th attacks. A level takes place in an airport, and one of the goals was to thwart these terrorists who were planning to bomb a plane. They changed them to pickpockets. I want to know, hey, Neversoft, what did those terrorists look like?
The terrorists didn't actually change what they looked like. They changed the goal, and they dimmed their voice things, because I've seen this through looking up earlier builds. They didn't look like because before this, like, it's kind of weird to think about. We didn't have the idea of terrorists specifically as a Middle Easterner as much.
Right.
That kind of racist connotation. Like, terrorists could be the guys from Die Hard.
Yeah, it's the IRA or something, yeah.
Yeah, so they just looked like the same way they do in the level, except they talked about bombing the plane in like Spider-Man villain voices. And because Activision also made the Spider-Man games, the PS1 and PS2 Spider-Man games, they used the music from the PS1 Spider-Man game to introduce the terrorists.
Okay.
And that's still in the mix, and you can just hear barely in the mix now them saying things that are, about bombing, like, once we get our way, things like that. They don't say things that pickpockets would say.
Yeah. Huh.
No.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Ollie the Magic Bum shit.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of before we had that. It would be I 100% would be if this game came out like 4 years later.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
this sold really well. One of the best reviewed games for the console generation. Like, I don't know. It was weird to have a PS2 without having this game.
yes.
Yeah.
Series continued on for a while, kind of sleepwalking, level packs. They kept trying new things.
Yeah.
In the 2010s, annual releases kind of created this fatigue. Neversoft shifted to making Guitar Hero games, and other studios took over. They made a couple of real bad experiments. Tony Hawk Ride, which has a peripheral, so of course it sucks. And then Tony Hawk 5, which nobody ever talks about. I'm very morbidly curious about that.
Yeah.
I've never played that, but I'm very curious about it.
It apparently has like basic functionality problems is the thing.
Yes.
And also, like, I don't know how easy it is to get a hold of anymore.
It's a lot of this stuff is emulatable now.
Yeah.
Which I guess now is a fine time to talk about that. If you want the definitive Tony Hawk experience right now, like many things, not saying this as a partisan, the way for that is on PC. There are guides and everything to having a version of Tony Hawk's Underground 2 that contains all of the Tony Hawk levels that have been made, basically. You can, similar to like the fixed version of Plants vs. Zombies 2.
Yeah.
Reflourished, I think it's called. You can play that I fucked around with for a while. Like, there is a version that is basically the level pack with all the moves, which is all you could ever really want.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And it's out there for the taking if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, series went off a cliff, and Tony Hawk's licensing deal with Activision ended in 2015. But he wanted to continue making skateboarding games. Like, he put out like just a Tony Hawk like iOS skateboarding game in that time, something there. But the series came back in 2020 when Vicarious Visions decided, hey, let's do like a current gen remake of 1 and 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, and that came out and is really good. Although like the skaters are older and the levels have changed to become more like decrepit. So like there is a little bit of like there's like a little bit of just like the tragedy of the passage of time.
Little Jackass
associated.
Forever.
Yeah.
In it? Yeah. I love it. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's also a little known Tony Hawk remake that came out on Xbox Live.
Oh, that was really bad. That was so
really
slow.
bad.
Yeah.
It's still on my my Xbox that has a bunch of like weird hidden shit on it that will never get out again, probably. And it will never see electricity.
Oh, it probably doesn't boot up anymore, actually.
Probably not. Yeah. I don't know what the story is of that thing. It's just gonna, that's a mystery for when I die for the people who find me. But I remember that, and that thing fucking sucks. It's real slow. It didn't work. Like there were whole things you could not do. Like in the airport, you couldn't go into the baggage claim hidden area.
Oh,
you couldn't get in there because it wasn't functional.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah. And
so they tried that. I was very excited when that happened. When they put that out, because like, oh, cool, like this is what I want, and it took another 10 years for there to be an actual just Tony Hawk 1 and 2 good remake.
It sucks. Dump it. Yeah. No, it seemed perfect. It's like, oh, Xbox Live Arcade remake of like all of these beloved levels. It's got to be good, and somehow they fucked it up.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So that remake, the 2021, was the fastest selling game in the series. And Activision, because they're good decision makers, dissolved Vicarious Visions and incorporated into Blizzard.
Yeah, they're just a kid with 2 cups with water in them making potions. Pouring the water into different cups and being like, I'm doing potions.
Yeah.
That's game publishers. The plan was always to make a 3 and 4 together, but that took a while because of that merger. They had to find a studio that Activision trusted with it. And they ended up finding Iron Galaxy to do this.
So that's coming out really soon. This is not a promo thing, but we ended up, just kind of timing it, trying to get a little bit of hype here. One of the high profile stories about this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was the first to add Bam Margera, who did do skating stuff, but was primarily known for his involvement in Jackass. Which, when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 came out, was one of the most popular things on television.
Yeah, specifically CKY, the Camp Kill Yourself stuff that ended up merging with the Jackass crew.
Right.
And became this kind of amalgam. Bam Margera is a figure. He is a sad figure. Stuff with him now is pretty depressing. Excuse me. But they did not know whether to put him in this. He was introduced in Tony Hawk 3, because Jackass was so popular. And that is when you talk about that tipping point of the series becoming, about racing shopping carts downhill, this being the beginning of that, here's Bam wedging his foot in the door with that.
He co-led the cast of Tony Hawk's Underground 2, where you are being hazed into the Pro Skater crew, and there's a go and do pranks across the world contest with Team Bam and Team Tony.
That game is very funny to me. Because Bam Margera still sounds like Bam Margera, but pure innocent Tony Hawk has to sound like he's on board for that shit. So he's just like, I'll go and also do that.
Yeah.
I'll also go do pranks. And he just sounds so pure and good.
I also enjoy this beverage.
Yes, I will. It's very funny.
Yeah.
A fundamental misunderstanding. That game, Tony Hawk's Underground 2 is still a good game because you still get to do Tony Hawk shit in it, and the levels are still fun.
Yeah.
But it is not as fun watching a little digital representation of Wee Man get hit in the balls.
Right.
As actual TV show. And why would it? Why would they think that? Or having my little avatar get hit in the balls?
Yeah.
It's not, the balls aren't the funny part.
No, it's the actual person and the stuff around it.
Yeah, and it's their reactions. It's the humanity of it. It's it's not just the concept of getting hit in the balls.
It is the ennui expressed, but the fact that this is not the first
Werner
and not the
Herzog's
last ball
shit.
tap. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the cruel, unfeeling section of nature that gave us, this weak point outside our body that Johnny Knoxville could punch.
Yeah.
You contemplate that. That is the thing that is important about Jackass.
You contemplate the nut.
Yeah, you must contemplate. It's pre-nut clarity. So that shit was stupid.
Yeah.
Even though that is a fun video game, and I think if we end up doing another one of these, that is going to be the next one we have to do.
Yeah.
Even if we are just kind of complaining about the jackassery of it.
Yeah, because after that, it ends up being strictly open world stuff with Thaw. I like Project 8 quite a bit actually, because you end up kind of creating your own lines too. But yeah.
Bam would be a big part of the series, as we mentioned. Tony Hawk rode hard to get Bam included in these remakes. Wanted him to be there, we because he's got addiction. Similar story to Jackass Forever.
Yes.
With him as well. We do not know if that was a good idea to trust him. Bam Margera, again, I've seen stuff with him recently. It is sad.
Yes.
It does not seem like he's... the more face tattoos he gets, the sadder it seems.
Yes.
And he's at a 40% capacity right now on face.
Yeah, he's covered. He's running out of coverage, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that remake's coming out. I imagine it'll be fine. I'm going to get it. I'm going to play it. I'd even having done 3 for the show, I still want to see how those levels work in the new stuff. I still want to play the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater levels for the first time. Or I want to play the 4 levels. Yeah.
I want to play the 3 levels and the 4, with the 4 capability.
Yeah.
And I want the spigot to keep going. You know, I own the remake of 1 and 2 on computer and on Switch.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I want it to keep going. I'm like, hey, more of this, please.
This thing might not catch on if we don't support it.
One kid seems to love Speedo Man, and it's me. I'm just turning the lever like, no, more of this. More. There have been a host of attempts to do an indie Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Sadly, none of which are good.
That's the problem, right? Skatebird is really disappointing.
Skatebird sucks. I'm so sad about Skatebird. I should have known that it was going to suck because it's got cozy game stink.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's too cutesy, but like they didn't figure it out. It doesn't feel good. And then like the Ollie Ollie games are good.
They're different things.
Very different things.
They're so linear, right?
Yes. You know, an Ollie Ollie World is supposed to be a little different. I haven't played Ollie Ollie World yet.
It's good, but it still doesn't feel like this.
Yeah. And I've not actually played the EA skate games.
Neither have
that'd be
I.
an interesting episode at some point. The idea of like a very technical version of this is interesting to me. You know what? Yeah, I'm curious.
I think I played a demo. I downloaded a demo for it because there was a huge buzz around it. Like, hey, this might be the Tony Hawk killer. And it came out kind of at a time when the Tony Hawk series was kind of adrift. And I was like, yeah. And then like it was a bunch of stuff with like the right stick that you ended up having to do.
Yes.
And like in the time that I sat down with the demo, I couldn't reach a flow and I couldn't do anything. It felt like a lot of effort for not a lot of return on it.
It's a really different. It was smart of them not to try to do Tony Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Like to take a different approach to skateboarding, which is actually one of the hardest things in the fucking world.
Yeah.
You know, something that if you're listening to this episode and you have not played skateboarding, this in no way resembles skateboarding.
No.
You know, this is an arcade game. Like, this is a fun, fast trick platformer.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's kind of hit the levels. These are going to be brief.
Yeah.
There's not that much to talk about in individual levels in this. Uniformly, I think these are all pretty well designed.
Yeah.
You know, just across the board. There are no levels where I'm like, this section sucks.
Yeah, there's nothing like the downhill levels in 1 and 2, right?
Yeah. Even though like I have a soft spot for those because they're weird and archaic.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, there's nothing like that where it's like, this kind of runs you into trouble. They've figured out levels at this point, I feel like. Something I think about in Tony Hawk 2, the city. I can't remember which city it is, but or it's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You know, you have that the city block that you're going around there, and the cars.
Yeah.
That are in that, and how that kind of fucks things up. There's a lot less of that stuff in this. There's still a little bit of just hazard.
Yeah.
But they've kind of cranked that down a little bit. And the other thing that kind of unites these levels is secrets. That kind of, you can do a secret that opens up or changes the level is more emphasized here.
Yes.
So we should hit those as well.
Yeah. I definitely make a note of those, but like that was a kind of a big moment in 2 was realizing that, you know, in that hangar or whatever, that you could break through the window and there was a whole other like section over there that, this has a lot more of that. That is kind of like strictly scripted, which you get in this foundry, which is the first level, where they work hard and they play hard, Gary.
They play hard. Yeah. It is. I like how they start with a level you can fall into lava. Like essentially, like you should be skating where there's lava, man-made lava.
This is strange because like this actually is kind of linear. It's like meant to be skated back and forth. Because like basically the entire level is like one big half pipe, but with complications in the middle of it.
It's a rectangle as opposed to a square, you know, as you move through. And people are trying to work. You know, it's a deeply rude thing you're doing. Like, including just, knocking foremen into shit and stuff, into lava, things like that. The foreman specifically you soak in water.
Yes.
Here, that's probably boiling.
Yeah, it definitely is like the slag water.
Yeah.
He is going to get every kind of cancer known to man off of that.
How about a Coke? Sure. Not that kind of Coke.
There are some goals that come with every level. We should talk about them. Scores are here. It's not like different levels have different capacity for scores, but the order in which they are presented, the score goals escalate just because you're supposed to be getting better at playing the game through them. And then there's skate. I love this as an introductory thing. You collect the 5 letters of skate, oftentimes taking you on an initial little tour of the level and some of the basic, kind of like parts of it. Yeah.
It gives you a level and it shows you a line.
Yeah.
Usually this would get emphasized in 4 where they would introduce combo. So you'd have skate that you had to collect all around the level, and you'd have combo, which you have to get in one combo.
Yeah.
And this kind of does that. This does an early version of that. You can collect all of skate in a combo usually.
Yes.
Here, but it's teaching you a path. The hidden tape is way up high in a rafter, so you need to kind of leap off these catwalks to get it. Again, kind of teaching you how to look at the level.
Yeah.
Through this.
Ridiculous, the precision required to land on that rafter to grind along to that thing. There's not a lot of run up to that up on those catwalks. Yeah. Every level has some tricks that are just like, or some goals that are just like do a specific trick over a particular piece of geometry. Like I've made a note of those, but those are not necessarily like noteworthy otherwise.
No, the main thing that's noteworthy is remembering where they're at and which trick.
Yes.
Like when I'm doing a trick in Tony Hawk, I'm not saying, now it's time to do a board slide. I'm just pressing buttons on instinct.
Yeah.
And it becomes a trick.
Yeah.
One of the big things I do in this game is switch all my special tricks to left, right, or up, down, rather than like down, right, or, up, right, things like that. And then I just do them. They're basically interchangeable.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah.
So these things I have to look at, relook at what they are. And you can do that through the menu. Through that. The hidden area in this level is if you unjam these 5 valves on the side, you unlock the secret area where there is this, it looks like the climax of a Spider-Man movie.
It does. Yeah. It's a big spiral ramp around an electricity chamber.
Yeah. Like one of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies would have its climax here. Like you fight Jamie Foxx Electro here.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah. And then the soak the foreman and grind the molten bucket is literally just 2 tricky little grinds that you have to do.
Yeah. Do the things.
Yeah.
The first level of this is good. It's no hangar or warehouse. I think the first really good level in this is Canada.
Yeah.
Here. It is very funny to have a country as a level.
The vast wilderness of Canada up in the territories.
Yeah. This is a skate park. And you kind of have its nearby surroundings, and there are a bunch of like Canada signifiers here. There's some like mining facilities, there's snow, there are pine trees and shit.
Yeah.
As you go through.
Yeah. And like, as compared to the first level, like, oh yeah, this is all like contained. Everything is, inside of here. It is not impossible to imagine the foundry in Tony Hawk 2, right?
Yes.
Here, the fact that this is like kind of like a neighborhood a little bit, does feel like a particularly PS2 generation kind of deal. When I say neighborhood, I mean like it's the skate park, which is designed for skating, and then the stuff around it, right?
Like a city block.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot skate on the snow outside of the fence there, so it looks bigger than it actually is, but you do end up having that feeling of going off the map.
Yes.
In this. The hidden tape, you have to grind across this lever to raise this ramp so you can get it up on some minecart lines up there. On that area where you raise that ramp, there's a guy pissing.
Yep.
He just pisses forever. He's pissing when you find him. He's pissing when you leave him. And you can keep a combo going, if you manual. So you can just kind of go, further run out the clock and just have a guy just urinate for minutes on end.
Yeah, no, just a complete full Austin Powers piss for eternity.
Like eventually just pissing bones. Like the NES Freddy Krueger game, something like that.
There are a couple of them that are just like themed. Like there's a guy who's stuck to a flagpole, like in the Christmas Story. So you just have to run into him. It's not even hard. It's just like, hey, this is a funny thing. It's winter out. Skate into this dude.
Yeah, there's this kind of, again, that impish sense that's always been part of the series that is ramping up with this one. There's a bully who's throwing snowballs at a guy, and it just says to bury him. This is a little bit of a puzzle. You have to figure out how to do that. You grind the branches above him to knock snow onto him.
Yeah, to bury him.
Yeah. Yes, he is now dead.
Yes.
And then there's Impress the Skaters, which is sort of skaters and around, and you have to do good tricks around them.
Yeah, this is kind of like the main thing. I spent a bunch of time doing this because you have to, and it's all in one run. You have to know where the skaters are. And it is not super easy to tell which of the pedestrians
Who is a skater and who isn't.
Yeah, and then figuring out the line, and like to impress them, it's not just any trick. You have to score like over 3,000 points in a combo that either begins or ends near them.
Yes, it's a little nebulous.
Yeah.
The next level is the first competition level. This is something the series did. Generally, every 3 levels tends to be a competition level. They're played in a real world skate park, usually. This is in Rio, in Brazil. Here it is a skate park with some roads around it, kind of around these central half pipes here.
Yes.
You have 3 1-minute runs. They average your 2 best scores. And you have to rank for a medal to move on.
Right.
For this. There is a hidden area in this one. You go through a fence that is rickety. It just goes into a little back alley with another half pipe.
Okay.
In there, but it's kind of cute.
Usually, so like the hidden areas are fun because like, oh yeah, it's more geometry and sometimes it's themed really neat, but it is usually your reward is another half pipe.
A lot of times when I was first playing this game, when I first started it, the way I would get the adequate scores was through vert skating. It's easier than street skating, than chain together combos. And I was new to this type of game completely. So one of the things about finding areas, this was true in Tony Hawk 2 as well, getting that little area in the hangar, is it'll be a clean half pipe.
Yes.
Finding a clean half pipe was useful. I think that's actually pretty clever from a game design perspective that like somebody on the staff, I feel like knows that was kind of a leg up.
Crutch. Yeah.
Yeah. For people who were new to the game, and that you could tie exploration into finding this, this way to get those scores to move on.
Yeah.
You're still not getting good at the game in the way the game wants you to get good, but you're able to see more of the game.
Yeah. Rio's a neat level, right? I'm not over the moon about the competition stages. Like, they're tricky. Basically, like, C gets a degree if I'm just trying to unlock stuff. But like, if you are just going for the gold, sometimes it is a little bit arbitrary who will rank in front of you. Like, all the other scores are just kind of randomly generated.
It's like Mario Kart. Like, I like these levels a lot, doing them as competitions. It's also a thing where they do best 2 of 3. And if you restart, you don't restart that individual run.
You just restart all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do one of them, you do really good, and you do the second one, you eat shit immediately. My instinct will restart the run.
Yep.
Little combo I put in. Will bite you in the ass on these.
Yes.
But generally, well-designed levels still. Next level is Suburbia, which is excellent.
I love this so much.
It's really good. Be it Hitman or Tony Hawk, give me Suburbia.
Yeah, it's a whole cul-de-sac, and every kind of house is represented. Haunted.
From mansion to trailer park.
Yeah. Haunted, trailer park, in construction.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
This is really good. You're doing house stuff, but there's so much hidden shit in this.
Oh my God, it's so dense.
Everyone, like the big mansion, if you get on top of it, it has half pipes on it. Like they just built their roof that way.
The entire backyard is half pipe too.
Yes. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Through this. You do normal, you smash pumpkins and shit like that. This has a story thing. There's the Thin Man. It's not the Thin Man from the Thin Man.
No.
It's just like a Scary the Tall Man figure.
Yeah.
Who wants to get back into his haunted house. You have to find that axe and get in. But once you do, you can move through that and then get into the backyard, and it gets all Draculated.
Yeah, it's fully Draculated. Well, he breaks down the wall and then he disappears in a burst of blue flame.
Yeah.
But you're behind this haunted house, and like the secret tape is like skating up to the top of that and then bursting out like through the Widow's Walk.
Yeah. Through the scary library. When you're in the back of the house, there are little hands that come up from the grave, and the music changes. A storm starts. It's really great.
I love it.
Very, very fun. You can go in the front of the house as well, and then you just fall forever, and it says "Welcome to Hell." Way into that. And little Easter egg: one of the characters you can unlock in this is a demoness, a sexy demon lady, and it'll say "Welcome Home."
Yeah,
if you go in as her.
God, just a triumph of theming on this stage.
And in the same way, when we were comparing Hitman and this, one of the the thing that those things have in common is recontextualization, right? Like it is fun, and this kind of runs into, it's the thing that made like Duke Nukem 3D special. Being in a place I have been in normally, but with a new context. And this is such a well-observed little suburban block. It makes you look at the space you're very familiar with in a different way.
Yeah.
Be it because you want to kill pigmen or assassinate people or skate through it.
Yes.
The closer a level seems to real life, the cooler it is.
Yeah. Agreed. Also, like, this is not the start, but like where you really start getting into like really improbable stuff, like grinding along power lines. Like one of your goals is to restore power to a satellite dish, and that just involves grinding along power lines to get branches off of them.
Yes. Yeah. Next level is a big standout. This is the airport. Here, this is another linear level, but it's a much longer rectangle.
It is so long.
It's very long. It's closer to a downhill level, but you can backtrack more easily.
Yeah.
This adds it's from the check-in terminals all the way down to or from the security check-in the ticket all the way down to the terminals. And there are obstacles here. There are security guards.
Yeah.
They'll try to block you and knock you up, so you have to subvert them.
Security guards posted up at the bottom of those escalators like they're soccer goalies.
Very much. And they act like it too. They move back and forth. Very funny. I love even in this, this came out in 9/11, they had to stop them from being terrorists, but it is about you subverting airport security.
With flair, yeah.
With flair, like have terrorists tried this? Not trying to give pro tips, but like
right. Yeah, no, just but like it, I can bypass the metal detectors as long as I do a 6-7-20 over it.
Yeah, it's great. The way that real life should be.
Yeah.
Like if somebody does a 720, I feel like they should be able to get past the metal detector.
It is funny because one of the goals is to pick up some tickets at the start, and like you're taking them to your buddy at the gate, and if you go through the metal detectors, it invalidates the tickets. So like you specifically have to not go through security.
You also have to not bail.
Yes.
If you bail, you'll drop your ticket. So can you get to the end of the level without bailing once? Like this level has real clever goals, I think.
Yes.
The pickpockets who used to be terrorists in this, you just have to run them over. But they flee. They flee. If you alert them, they'll flee. It almost adds like a stealth element before they add these into Tony Hawk's Underground. If you can see them and aim for them, you can take them out before they run. But they'll run from you. And this is really relying on you seeing the difference between different NPC models.
Yes.
Some of which are advantageous to knock into, some of which will knock you over.
Right. And noticing the difference between different NPCs does break my wireframing of these stages. I kind of never pay attention to the theming on any of it after a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah. Really hard goal in this, visit the 10 countries. There is a big section of rails in the terminal where you have to grind over 10 flags.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all in one combo or anything like that, but they're kind of hard to get to, and there's a lot of like decoy grinds
near
it. You can end up on the wrong rail or on the wrong track really easily.
And they're like different, like there are different heights in the air too.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, no, you a lot of time spent snapping to the wrong rail on this.
Yeah.
And then the hidden tape, like you have to do, go around this big long U-shaped pipe in order to get that. You have to do like a 15-second grind to get out to that thing.
Yeah, which is tricky. Yeah. One of the things about this game that changes at every Tony Hawk, one of the things that changes in the series is whether your grind meter resets when you combo.
Yes.
So whether the balance meter you have, if it resets to absolute 0 or it just continues to degrade, like ends up where it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll always degrade, it'll always get shakier, but like whether it resets. In this one, it does not reset.
Right.
So you are better off just doing one grind than doing tricks across it.
Yes.
Yeah. But good level, and it has that, you go through the baggage claim, you know, out where a helicopter is.
Yep.
Fun little Easter egg.
Yeah. Skater Island, another competition level. This is modeled after a skate park up in Rhode Island, but I do not think that they have the Pirate Lagoon outside.
No, very funny.
Yeah.
They do this. This is really tightly packed inside, but it's encouraging you to bust out.
Yes.
You grind along this flag with a Jolly Roger, and a cannon will fire and open up this outdoor area. With a pirate ship you can get on, again, kind of keeping this theme of the hidden areas being a clean half pipe.
Yes.
The pirate ship being a clean half pipe here. You can also bust through the roof. of this, which is kind of fun. You don't get anything for it.
Yeah.
But you just explode through the roof, which is really cool looking.
Just out of bounds. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Los Angeles is crazy.
This is
really
ridiculous.
cool. I love being in cities I've been in real life. In Tony Hawk, because you can kind of see what they were going for a little bit.
Yeah. Like this is just the financial district downtown in LA. Yeah.
And has the most elaborate hidden area in this. Many smaller hidden areas where you can kind of get into little nooks and crannies and such. But to change the geometry, you start an earthquake by grinding specifich rails.
They're called tremor rails. And
Tremor
it's like,
rails.
what the fuck am I supposed to do here? How do I start an earthquake? And you just have to notice there's a north, south, east, and west tremor rails.
It's I hope no one does it.
Yeah.
They
have to keep moving them around so nobody will find them.
Yes.
But this starts an earthquake and it brings down the freeway and basically completely changes the level geometry around it.
The death toll is tremendous.
But so are the score totals.
So are the rewards.
Yeah. So it's impossible to say if it's bad.
Yeah. You got to hand it to the skaters.
Yeah. And there's like so many like little things here too. Like we didn't talk about gaps, but like finding a gap and thinking, is just a matter of thinking, I wonder if there's will I get points for doing that? And then it just does. And it has like a clever name for it. So like there's a car wash. And if you grind all the way through the car wash, like it's a special points for that.
A gap is like either you jump from one ramp to another or you grind a section of rail.
Yes.
Generally. So, and it'll be called the something gap.
Yes.
Or it ends up counting as a trick. No.
Yeah.
But generally you're, again, not a whole lot to say close up on these levels. Good level, fun. Traffic is kind of a problem. That's like that level in Tony Hawk 2. I don't love that much, but they introduce it way later in this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it feels appropriate.
You can't skitch in this one like in Tony Hawk 4, I understand.
No.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk 4 adds skitching, which is, you don't do very much.
No.
It's not that cool.
Just kind of riding along with a car dangerously.
Way cooler in real life, like as an idea. I feel like there should be like checkpoints in the city and you're assigned a skitcher. That's what we should have instead of transit. Like I'm doing the tech bro thing of reinventing the bus, but in a more radical way.
Just like picturing like not just skaters, but like everybody. Like, all right, did you get your sketch pass? I am so afraid of this.
Yeah, I have my elderly and honored citizen sketch pass. I'm going to be assigned to this car to sketch commute.
Yeah, like how am I going to get? I'm going to sketch to the grocery store, but how am I going to sketch my groceries back home?
Yeah, well, you ask for trunk access.
Okay,
you do the trunk access upgrade.
Yeah. You have to have a platinum pass for that, though.
Yeah, and you can sketch with anything. Like mostly you sketch with a skateboard, but like there's nothing saying you couldn't attach a shopping cart.
Yeah, you can sketch on concepts too. Like you can sketch behind somebody's promotion.
I hate how Congress keeps sketching on rider bills to legislation. You mind if I sketch on a quick point onto that? I'd like to sketch on a 2-part question in this Q&A.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So Los Angeles is neat. It's fucking huge too.
It's really big.
Yeah.
The next competition level, the last competition level, is Tokyo. It's inside a big giant pinball machine. Not literally. There is a pinball level in the new one coming out.
Yeah.
But this feels like a pinball machine.
Yeah, it is completely ridiculous.
Yeah. It is not an accurate representation of Tokyo, but it is a more fun representation of Tokyo.
There are lasers and holograms, and there's a big loop-to-loop.
The loop-to-loop was something Tony Hawk specifically fought to put in, I want to say, because he did that at some point. It's another one of those Tony Hawk tricks. You can see him do it. He does it. There's a Jackass segment where he does it, and the bike guy, who's Dave Mira, does it as well.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful. It's full of like lasers and holograms and stuff like that. It looks like you're in a big neon pinball machine, like Tony Hawk Neon Dragon.
Yeah. It's neat. Like I like it, and just fully getting rid of any pretense toward realism with it, because these are ridiculous arcade games.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
The final canonical level is the cruise ship, like this big carnival cruise ship. It's really cramped. There are a lot of layers to this.
Yeah.
And you have a definitive boundary. You cannot swim in the ocean. You cannot skate in the ocean.
No. And it's like, really easy to fall off before you deploy the safety nets or whatever. This is like a level that you like you end up changing like the majority of it by accomplishing these goals, which is weird. Like raising up the little ferry in order to like have like a little addendum to it. What is it? There's something that you do, like you trash the museum and it like lets loose a huge thing that rolls like through the stage, breaking down walls and stuff. Seems like it would sink the ship to me. But
you are always a menace.
Yeah.
In this, like your death toll is tremendous. This is again kind of that impish laddishness of this. You have to impress the Neversoft girls.
Yeah.
Putting a company name before girls is very funny to me. Like just like, oh, it's the Balls Energy Girls or the Neversoft Girls or whatever. It was a real cultural thing. Like when I first went to PAX, there was the NOS Energy Girls. Which made a big impression on me and Nick as just like a funny thing. Like, oh, they're everywhere. Like look out.
Are those ones you offered the NOS Energy Teeth to?
Yeah, that's where NOS Energy Teeth came from the NOS Energy Girls. We didn't offer them to the NOS Energy Girls. We were pretending to be NOS representatives offering other people NOS Energy Teeth. Which were plastic vampires.
Glow in the dark. Yeah, vampire fangs.
There was an event at the Sega arcade there where they gave us a bunch of free tickets and we just used all of a bunch of free tokens, got a bunch of tickets and just bought them all the vampire teeth we could. It was pretty fun.
God, that's so dumb.
Oh, miniature jackass.
Also, there's a pool on this. You can drain it. Which, yes, I need to. Like, I need to ruin those people's vacations so I can do sick drinks.
Yeah, and again, a safe half pipe. Get yourself a clean pipe.
Yeah,
there. Good level. And you can unlock retro levels. These are kind of big hits. You get the warehouse, which is iconic. Burnside, which is like pretty legendary in the game series.
Yeah,
as just really well designed for skating. Like you can get good tricks in that. And then Roswell, which was the first novelty level.
Yes,
that they did.
Yeah, having the Area 51 stuff. I think earlier in the episode I said Burnside was from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I am so sorry. I'm going to be spending time with my family, thinking about what my next move is going to be.
Yeah, it's from the first one.
Yes.
And this is it's fun to unlock those because level packs are good. For certain types of games, level packs are all you want. Yeah. And this is one of them. So like getting those was a real value add.
And those levels don't become less good just because there are other levels, right? Like it's kind of, I don't know, it's a lot to ask, but like this could have / should have been a thing where just carry the levels forward,
It's a thing that you see with the Hitman games, but you also see it with like Mario Kart.
Yes.
Not with the Mario Kart World, but Mario Kart 8. They backport in the levels and things like that.
It became the omnibus.
Yes.
Yeah. Omnibus Mario Kart game.
And that's Tony Hawk 3. In no universe did I think we'd talk about it quite this long. But good.
Yeah.
Great fucking game.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing this weekend, which is Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remake.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's rare that I end playing a game for a show, like record the episode and move right on to, I obviously need to play more of this. Like I still have an appetite.
One of the things is this game fits into the cracks in your lifestyle better than almost anything else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like when we talk about roguelikes, one of the things I like about roguelikes is having a complete experience. So like before bed, I can play a Monster Train 2 run. It's about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That's about how much video game time I want to do before bed. This, you could just fire this up at any point and just kind of, do a few runs.
Yeah.
If you just have some time to kill and you don't want to just like scroll, this is a great use for it.
Yes.
If you get cut off partway through, it doesn't feel bad. If you want to sit down and really chug it, you can. You can play for a long time and get into the zone. It meets you where you're at.
Yes.
In a way that arcade games generally do. But unlike arcade games in the arcade, I've been playing a bunch of arcade games lately because I have an emulator set up on my Steam Deck now. There's no predatory angle to it. It has no money incentive, no perverse incentive. So it's just that meets you where you're at without any unfairness.
Yeah. The only other game that I can think of that like fits into, those like little burst sessions as well as this are like it's Guitar Hero, which is again super weird that Neversoft decided to take over that franchise. And when I say Guitar Hero, I mean, Rock Band, any of the stuff.
The family.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess like Taiko Drum Master and shit do as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like that whole thing. But it's a similar, the performance and score-based arcade game that is specifically made for home consoles is a special thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Great fucking game.
Love it.
Absolutely love it. If you're listening to this and you are any kind of oppressed person and you have a project or product you would like us to shout out, please send me an email, Gary@Duckfeed.tv. Include your name, links, description, pronouns, anything that might be useful, and we'd be happy to do so.
Yeah. If you have thoughts on our games here for July, which are Skin Deep, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, the expansion pack, or the Talos Principle, you can write in at duckfeed.tv/contact. The deadline is July the 15th. It is always the 15th of any given month.
Yeah. And if you have thoughts about August games, which are Metroid Zero Mission, Split Fiction, or Mercenaries World of Destruction, please write in by August 15th.
Yes. And we prefer those responses to be specific and concise.
Yeah. If you want to support us, if you want this spigot, we're talking a lot about the Tony Hawk spigot. If we're your Tony Hawk and you want the spigot to keep going, you can support us on Patreon. Yeah. Go to patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. $5 a month gives you all the bonus episodes, like a bunch of new shows. $10 a month gives you even more. And that stuff. The episode for the Talos Principle and Mercenaries are going to be premium episodes, which means everybody gets the generalities. Patrons get the full thing there. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Doing that is how we keep our houses hot. It is our job. It's how we employ Gwen, our producer. So it makes a really big difference. We would really appreciate it. A quick note, programming note, I should have said this a while back. You can also sponsor games for that. The Talos Principle is a sponsored game on that. We are into next year.
Yes.
For those. Good problem to have, but just know if you do that, we are looking at the first quarter of next year, and that's going to continue to push forward as more people do it.
Yes.
So just know that we always get to them. We've never, not done one. It just, the schedule is full.
Yep.
So shitter's full.
If you want to, you can leave a rating or review. It feels like this has gone on forever. So I'm just going to say thank you so much, Gwen, to our producer.
Yeah. Big thanks to Gwen. And until next time, what should they watch out for?
Watch out for us, because we're coming. We're coming.
Yeah.
And everything that you love will be made into a line.
It's true.